Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy So, and welcome back to another Heat playoff post-game recap. As you know, this is presented to you by Empire Boutique. They keep your boy fresh, and we're going to keep bringing it to you throughout this entire post-game recap. Now, the Heat lose Game 4 at home to the Boston Celtics. 116-99 is the final score, and Boston stays alive for one more game. Now, this game was very hard to watch as a Heat fan. Very frustrating because we knew that we were going to get the Celtics' best punch throughout this game, and the Heat were going to have to find answers and really try their hardest to withstand the wave that was going to come from this Boston Celtics team, because there was just no way that these guys were playing as poorly as they were, and we're going to continue to play poorly every single game. The Celtics came out strong, right? They went with a small group again, no Rob Williams in the starting lineup. The Heat responded with their own little run, and it kept going back and forth. Bam's defense was amazing in the first quarter, and the Heat were really working on turning the Celtics over, right? Getting turnovers, leading to fast break. We saw one after a steal, and Strus got a breakaway dunk. And then the Heat got into the bonus and started drawing some fouls on the Celtics. Ended up using that to give themselves a 6-point lead at the end of the first quarter, 29-23. It looked the one bad part that kind of happened in the first quarter was Lowry. He came down kind of weird on his knee, but he stayed in the game for the rest of the period. And even though we got good highlights from Jimmy Butler to start the first quarter, you see him make the block here. He makes the block here on the Celtics, on Jaylen Brown, who were trying to get into their offense and trying to get some type of, offense going in the paint. Even though we know that they're a three-point shooting team, they were trying to get something in the paint, as you can see here. And then Jimmy just comes up with the block, and it really set the tone for the Heat in the first quarter, because then right after that same block, we get Jimmy with the jumper here over a very good and defended, Grant Williams. That was Derek White. And, this type of offense is the type of offense that the Heat need to have throughout this playoff, right? Where it comes from their transition defense. It allows their guys to get into a position where they can make the most out of whatever it is that they need to do and get themselves in good position. Even in the second quarter, we saw Bam catch an alley-oop from Lowry, over Horford, and there looked to be movement on the team. But I got to tell you, some of the shooting in the first half was just not there for the Heat. We went cold from three-point shots. Celtics did not. They started to hit a bunch of threes in the quarter. And we knew that the Celtics were going to make this type of run, and we kind of had to be in that battle and say, okay, we know this is going to be a tough matchup, tough game to close out the Celtics, and we're going to have to play better than they are. And for some stints in this game, we were. In the first half, we saw Bam hook up with Gabe Vincent here. Gabe Vincent with the behind-the-back pass to set Bam up for the easy dunk, which was one of the easiest plays that the Heat had tonight, and you can tell that a telling factor was that they were going to try to pump fake their way to the free throw line and try to get the Celtics defenders to jump. If you look at these highlights that we're playing for you here, courtesy of TNT and the Miami Heat, you see the Heat doing a lot of pump faking to try to get these guys off their feet. And it really wasn't working for a big stretch of the game, right? Because the Celtics, credit to them, they stayed, flat-footed, didn't really jump up and kept the Heat off the free throw line, which helps us when we're struggling on offense like we were. We had a good defensive effort in the second quarter. We had a steal by Lowry that led to a Caleb dunk with about 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second, and we were in the bonus with 3 minutes left after that, but we just couldn't take advantage of it. There was not enough free throws. But we did have defensive rebounds, and we did have fast break points. The defense was on point. We ended up the half on a 13-6 run to give ourselves a 6-point lead, 56-50. And I was kind of worried to see how the Celtics were going to respond to that, because like we saw in the first quarter, they definitely had that fight in them tonight, and they needed that in order to keep their season alive. And at the first half stats weren't that impressive. Bam, 10 points, 3 rebounds. He had 2 fouls. Gabe had 11 points with 4 assists, including the one I showed you guys to Bam. And that was it as far as offense goes, right? Caleb with 14 points. He was our best player probably throughout the game. He was 6 of 6 from the field goal, including 2 of 2 from 3-point land in the first half, 14 points. And he was the offensive rhythm that we were looking to get started, but Jimmy didn't have it. He ended up the first half with only 9 points, struggled from the from the line, missed a free throw, 3 of 7 in the first half. And, he had 6 turnovers that were very telling, especially in the second half, because in the first half, because it let the Celtics get back into the game. That he had made a run to increase the lead, but Celtics were able to chip away at it. And which was kind of frustrating, like I said earlier, because they only had one player, Derek White, in double figures at the half. So that means that they were getting points from other guys who hadn't necessarily shown up yet in the playoffs. Horford hit 3 threes. You saw Marcus Smart get some easy buckets. Derek White hit a couple of buckets for the Celtics. And then, of course, Jason Tatum was doing his thing. It was just, a tough sign of what was going to come, because we knew that the Heat were going to have to respond in some way or fashion and take control of this game in the third quarter. And they didn't come out with the energy. The Celtics definitely came out with the energy needed in order to win the game and win the quarter. They went on a 16-0 run to start the third quarter, really put the Heat on their heels. And credit to the defense of the Celtics tonight, because it kind of forced the Heat into a lot of bad shots, and they went cold shooting the ball. There was a stretch of about 3 minutes where they couldn't get a basket, and it was just turnover after turnover after turnover. And the Celtics got hot. They made 7 threes in that third quarter, 21 points coming off from threes. That's huge for a team like the Celtics, who had been struggling really bad with the 3-point shot in this series, and they found their touch. Jason Tatum hit 2 in a row, and then that got the ball rolling for Smart to hit a 3, and then Grant Williams hit another 3. And it was just kind of like an onslaught of 3-point shots that the Celtics were making. But credit to Jimmy Butler. He came out with some type of intensity. He had 15 points in the quarter, had a defensive stop on Tatum to end the quarter, and he kind of kept the Heat within range. It was 88-79 at the end of the third quarter, and most of that was because of the Celtics hitting 3-point shots or getting those 3-point looks, those clean 3-point looks in transition, coming from the Heat's turnovers. And those Heat turnovers were devastating at the time that they were happening, right? We would get the lead down to 5 or get it down to 7, and then make a defensive stop, come right back down, give the ball back to the Celtics on a turnover, kick the ball out of bounds. Happened to Bam where he fumbled the handoff. It was a bad sign, because it kind of felt like everything was going the Celtics way and nothing was going right for the Heat. And then here comes the fourth quarter. Both teams start off the fourth quarter really struggling to find their rhythm and find their shots. The Heat went into a 2-3 zone, which kind of affected Celtics. They weren't ready for it, forced them into some bad shots, and even included some full court pressure, which again did its job and its purpose. It slowed down the offensive onslaught from the Celtics, but the Heat didn't have an answer for it themselves offensively. Then you have Jason Tatum, who was sitting in the beginning of the fourth quarter to get some rest, and then he comes in the game, and the Celtics go on a 12-0 run right after that, including another 3-point from Jason Tatum. Obviously, his best game so far throughout the series. He finally scored some points in the fourth quarter, which was a big negative against him in the national spotlight, and even listening to some Boston sports radio in the morning, he's been getting a lot of flack for it, and he showed up this fourth quarter. He played like the Tatum that we all expected to play in the fourth quarter. And yeah, you got to give him credit. When the guy's hitting shots and making a bunch of points, what can you do but try your best to defend him and keep him away from there? I do want to show you guys one more highlight here where it kind of emphasizes what I was talking about. You see Jimmy go up here and kind of pump fake, trying to get the foul, and then nobody kind of wanted to take the shot. There was a hesitation from Strus, got blocked by Jason Tatum, and he stayed with it to hit the 3. And that just goes to show you how much the Heat were struggling, right, to get good offense. And even when it came, it was still broken, and they had to find different ways to get the ball in the hoop. And it was just rough for the Heat tonight offensively. We really didn't have anything going. The guys that we normally rely on to provide some type of spark or give us some type of energy, they didn't necessarily have it today. Strus with only 9 points, Kevin Love 6 points. You get nothing from Duncan tonight. He only had 2 points. Caleb Martin continues to be, again, consistent. He has 16 points, 6 of 9 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3. including 4 rebounds, hit 2 free throws. Yeah, those are guys that we need to step up and at least have double figures. And when you're relying on a Jimmy Butler who's struggling offensively, he ended up going 9 of 21 tonight, 104 from three, 10 of 12 from free throws, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. It wasn't enough. And maybe that it wasn't enough, right? Because those are good numbers for Jimmy, but the timing wasn't there, right? When we needed the buckets, when we needed the good possessions, they didn't come about. We have to point out here that Bam had probably his worst offensive game, and even defensively, his worst game so far this series. He was 4 of 7 from the field, which is way too low shots for me, right? He's got to be a guy who at least has 15 shots, 13 shots per game, ended up with 10 points, 2 of 4 from the free throw line, just missed just 2 bad free throws, and only had 5 rebounds. He wasn't effective, didn't have that type of same aggressiveness that we had seen in the previous 3 games, and it showed. It showed in the Heat's ability to dominate the paint, to really get to their spots on defense and force the Celtics into tougher shots. I'll get to the post-game comments made by Spo and Jimmy, but it kind of alludes to that, right? Where they weren't set defensively, and it allowed the Celtics to get ahead by wide margins. You live by the 3, you die by the 3. The Heat tonight were 8 of 32 for 25%. That's very uncharacteristic of them so far this playoffs. A little bit more characteristic of how the regular season went for them, but they can't all fall in. The rebound battle was actually won by the Heat, 44 to 39. But the Celtics, they blew us out the water in those hustle plays, right? Assists, 28 to 18. Steals, 5 to 8. And even in our specialty, which is turnovers, we have 15 turnovers to theirs, 10. And they have 24 points off of them. Look at the score and the difference and the swing and flow throughout certain points of the game. And you can see where those type of stats make up the difference in how the Heat were able to be ineffective this game. That's straight up what it came up to. The Heat were ineffective this game. We really didn't have it. And the Celtics had all the momentum going for them. When you're playing with your backs against the wall, literally your season's about to end. You tend to step up and have better performances, right? The Heat got it close, right? They got it to 5 points in the fourth quarter, and then Celtics scores 12 straight points after that, and that pretty much killed the game. Like I said, the turnover battle was won by the Celtics, and that definitely made the difference in tonight's game. I don't see how the Heat can try to bounce back from that. What I can say is, they had the right mentality. They definitely had the right mentality, because even after the game, like I was mentioning, Spoelstra was saying that, you got to give the credit to the Celtics for making their shots, but you also have to, notice that they did get good, clean looks at threes. They got threes in transition. They got threes in momentum with them running their own versions of pick and rolls and freeing up the shooters, right? Jason Tatum was feeling himself behind the 3-point line. You have to have that intensity if you're the Miami Heat to run those guys off the line, right? Specific guys who can hurt you from 3. Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Horford, right? Who's been abysmal from 3 so far this playoffs, but he hit 3 of them tonight. You got to run those guys off the 3-point line, or at least commit to being there defensively, and the Heat didn't have it. I'm expecting a better performance from the Heat, because now they're the ones with their back against the wall. You're going into a hostile environment for Game 5 in Boston, which is going to be Thursday. And you know that the crowd is going to be on full tilt. The Celtics are going to have that belief in them that the series is not over, and go out there and play like they want to take it to Game 6 and want to take it to Game 7. Jason Tatum said it after the game. They were playing like they needed to save their season, and they did. They did everything that they needed to do to try to extend their season, and it worked for them. The Heat did not play with that same energy. They did not match that intensity, and it's no wonder why the Heat lost. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that all is lost, right? Because this was the type of battle that we were expecting from the Celtics. This is the type of team that we were hoping to face. Now we have to go out there and know that they have this confidence and belief in their team, and go out there and put up a big performance on the road like we've been accustomed to doing. Jimmy Butler said it best. We're going to continue to keep doing the things that we're doing. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to drink some beers. We're going to have some wine, listen to some music, and we're going to get ready for Game 5 on the road and win another one on the road. And you got to feel super confident in that dude, because as Jimmy goes, the Heat goes. So is Jimmy calm about it and he's focused and focusing on the next thing ahead and what's the next task, then guess what? The rest of the lineup, the rest of the guys in the locker room, they're going to line up behind Jimmy Butler. And, that's just all we can hope for as Heat fans, right? That their focus is fully committed to winning the next game, taking what they got to take from this Game 4 performance and utilizing that to motivate themselves and execute better come Game 5. Now, Game 5, like I said, is going to be Thursday night, 8:30 p.m., but your boy Sosa is going to be on the Miami Golf Bros trip, and we're still going to bring you that post-game recap. Might even have a special guest out there for you guys. But you know what you have to do. You have to tell a Heat fan, to tell a Heat fan, to tell another Heat fan about this great post-game recap that we're bringing you guys on this historic Miami Heat run in the playoff. Now, you guys, if you haven't already, go make sure to follow Empire Boutique. They're the ones hooking your boy up with this drip. And until next time, peace.